Imagine following a competition and midway through the whole thing, you find out that one of the competitors signed an agreement that bears the signature of one of the organizers. Much later, you discover that this agreement anticipated what would happen after the signatory wins, with a certain amount of detail that inevitably makes one think that the whole affair is rigged. Then, when you ask that signatory organizer why he did it, he says that the agreement was just a preliminary one that did not have any obligations tied to it. Don't worry about it. I imagine you might be inclined towards complaining. In today's hearing in the case of the Republic of Malta versus the disgraced former Prime Minister Joseph Muscat and his former associates and colleagues, the most important witness was, without any doubt, equally disgraced former Economy Minister Chris Cardona. Back when the hospital's concession was still being put together, Cardona was responsible for Malta Enterprise, the state entity that serves as a vehicle for economic investment. In that capacity, he had signed an agreement with the investors who formed part of Bluestone Special Situations, the company that was then used to create Vital's global healthcare. In other words, the same people who were then awarded the concession and who we now know as the ones who took our tax money, said they would invest hundreds of millions in 3 of our hospitals, and then left us with nothing. In court today, Cardona repeatedly insisted that he only saw this agreement for the first time right before he signed it, and that he signed it on the understanding that this was the political direction the government wanted to take at the time, and that therefore, this is what must be done. He said this was one of many similar preliminary arrangements the government had made with several investors with the intent of figuring out what those investors can offer. Because, you know, that's how business is done apparently. Sign a paper now, figure it out later. Then, he told us things we've heard from him before, like for example when he had testified in front of the Daphne Caruana Galizia public inquiry. He said that this agreement, which bears his signature, formerly known as a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU in short, was meant to lead to the generation of medical tourism and academic excellence. In fact, we all know that we are currently drowning in tourist doctors as we speak. He also told us that this MOU had nothing to do with the request for proposals that came out later, and that in fact it was not even executed, even though the Auditor General has gone hoarse telling us about how that same MOU severely affected the public procurement process. The cherry on top of this cake, one asked whether he remembers who was present in Castile the day the agreement was signed. Cardona told the magistrate, with a straight face, that he does not remember whether there were any Castile representatives. When the magistrate asked if he at least remembers whether Joseph Muscat was present, he immediately said, "If he was present, I think I would remember." He insisted that Muscat never pressured him to sign the agreement with Vital's investors, and that they had never discussed it at all. You heard that right? Malta's former economy minister swearing on oath that he never discussed an agreement like that with his prime minister. So why did we sign this MOU then? And here, the circle becomes complete. When the magistrate asked that specific question, Cardona simply reiterated this agreement was non-binding. To understand all the details of everything we've just explained, we encourage you to read our live blog on NEWZ.mt.